This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel today. And let me tell you, for once I actually brought myself some water along because we've got some fun times to talk about in this one. This is literally for any of you guys that were upset at me for throwing a little bit of shade, maybe possibly at Bob Stauffer about 3 weeks ago, it feels like. Here is your chance to get it right because you know what? We're going to piggyback off of something Bob Stauffer did on Twitter the other day that he's now defended today based on projecting point totals for what could be a lot of key Edmonton Oilers this year. And that really got me thinking, you know what? I saw that tweet and I'm like, wait a minute. There's something in this formula that I like that I've got to look at from my angle and get your guys' thought on it because the points... you know what? Very valid, very fun, very exciting for the fans. Very controversial topic all around, and that's great. That's Bob Stauffer's job. I'm not going to take away from that. What I'm looking at here in today's video is the simple fact of the complaints, right? The complaints are that we're somehow a worse team than we were last season. That's the complaint. Yes, 100%. Somehow, from the end of last year, from the middle of last year, wherever you want to call the worst of the Oilers last year, we're worse than that. And that mathematically, on paper, and realistically, in my opinion, isn't true. And today I went and dug up some stats thanks to the, brainwave that Bob Stauffer's stats and projections gave me. We're going to discuss it today. And with that said, what am I talking about? I guess you've probably already read it in the title. I'm going to cut myself off here a little bit and try and stand a little bit taller. Is the Oilers' goal projections for the 2019-2020 season. I'm going to let you read through that. I'm going to let you look at it right now because the last thing I need to do, I need to find one last itty-bitty stat that I need to show you here. I'll snipping tool this out as well and we'll get it going because this is, again, part and parcel kind of rank for the Edmonton Oilers when it comes to goals for in the NHL season. This is going to be the exciting part, so let's get to it. Goals for. Let's just name that. 4, 18, 19. My goodness, I can't type. So here we go. Let's go get this in there. You've read that. I'll explain this in a second. What I need you to look at right now is what I'll put up on the screen here in, man, just a split second. I just got to get my poop in a group here and we'll get going. Where's my goals for? Right there, 18, 19. That's what I'm talking about. And let's make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. And hopefully that's big enough. So what you see here is the NHL's goals for category from top to bottom for 2018-2019. Right at, where are we? We are somewhere at number 20. You'll see the Edmonton Oilers with 229 goals for, and an dismal 271 goals against. That was the split stat for stat last season. You see where I get at with just paper. Now, the key here I want to talk about is the fact that what you saw on that magic numbered sheet beforehand with all the numbers for the guys, and if you made sense of it, I didn't explain it because I'm going to get to that in a minute, is there is a key number on there called 260. That key number of 260 would be the number that last season would have the Edmonton Oilers ahead of the Colorado Avalanche for 10th in the NHL in scoring. When you talk about those teams, save for Florida, Chicago, everybody else was a playoff team, right? Save for Florida and Chicago, and we know the offensive weapons they have. So there you go. That's the math you need to know. 260 would have gotten the Edmonton Oilers into a top 10 spot in the NHL. Now, this is exactly where we bring this in. Projecting the goals for the Oilers in the 2019-2020 NHL season is a fun one. The way I did this, to explain why this is the way it is, I used paper. Yes, this is what I was talking about in the community post. If you saw that, I used paper. This is just paper. This is stats from based on last year's and based on previous years. And realistically, this has no meaning going into next year, this year, whatever you want to call it, realistically. However, When you're basing projections, you're usually basing them off of the past. That's the way the NHL statistically has always worked, and that's why, statistically speaking, we're still talking about the Oilers being a crap team in 2019-2020. However, here we go. Let's get to it. I've wasted enough time. I'm already 5 minutes somehow into this video, and I really have not even started to begin to make my point. You've got Josh Archibald with 11. As I didn't explain how I got this number, it's career goals divided by career games times 82 games. That's a full season. So if everybody plays a full season that I've got here on this sheet, this is what I'm expecting. This is just pure math, pure stat, pure paper, telling us as Oilers fans what we should expect out of the Edmonton Oilers in the 2019-2020 season in terms of goal scoring. There's a lot of variables here, and let's get to it. Archibald with 11, McDavid 37, Benning 5, Neal 28. That's where we get to our first controversial topic. Am I going to sit here and tell you I expect James Neal to get 28 goals next year? No. No. Let's cool it down a bit. This guy was traded for Milan Lucic. 15 to 20 goals is the steal of the century, okay? I know where to be realistic, and that's fine, and especially considering he's a top 6 player, and that means you're playing with Nuge, Draisaitl, or McDavid, or a combination of the three of the two, or whatever you want to say. Well, that bodes well, and that's why I say 28's too much of an ask, but realistically, career production-wise, goals for in the career divided by games played in the career times 82 gives you, in an 82-game season, James Neal should be capable of scoring 28 goals. Hold it, cool it, you get where I'm going. Darnell Nurse, this is the next controversial one because Darnell Nurse emerged as a threat, a lethal offensive threat in the NHL last season. Well, honestly, how do you not say 7 goals is the career kind of pace? How could he not do better this year? Honestly, 10, 12 goals. Suddenly you're replacing those 5 or 6 missing from James Neal with Darnell Nurse. And this is exactly where it all allocates buckets to buckets. But at the end of the day, it's got to equal those numbers for us to have a shot and me to make my final point. Chiasson, career pace 15. Well, we saw him score 22. Is he closer to that or that? That's the question. Kyle Brodziak, guys, this is the one you just kind of throw out the window and say, I'm not buying it. And that's me. I'm just really not buying it on the Kyle Brodziak file that we can get 11 goals out of him. So just we got to allocate goals somewhere else. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, for example, is that somewhere else? 22 goals in his career. Guys, the fact that he could score 30, 35 this year, especially playing with a guy like James Neal, and who knows if a Sam Gagner gets up there and starts dishing him the puck on the second line, or if he's playing with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl's on the second line. It's all about how this lineup hinges together after training camp, is how the goals will be allotted, but this is just trying to make the simple math to work to be a top 10 goal scoring club. Now you got Draisaitl with 29. You want to allocate some goals away from some people and give them to Draisaitl? I don't think that's an unsafe bet. Draisaitl, yes, he scored 50 last year. 35 is not asking too much, I don't think. Realistically, if we see the same playing time for Draisaitl with McDavid, 35 is not a question. He's got a lethal shot. He's got that spot. It's good. It's cold. It's great. Don't worry about it. Now, Chris Russell, 5 goals. I don't know. I really don't know. You know what? We'll allocate him to Draisaitl. We'll go 35. Sam Gagner, 16. This is asking a lot. Mind you, I know. This is asking a guy who, for most of last year, spent in the Toronto Maple Leafs Marley system. 16 goals in the NHL in his 30s. I understand. But career pace average, that's where we get. Marcus Granlund, same thing. Different role with Edmonton, a little bit more offensive, hopefully. We'll find out. He has scored 19 before. Klefbom, 7. Guys, God, you'd hope Klefbom can play a full season, and if he does, he's a 12-goal scorer. No question about it. Kara should be able to break out and score 15, so allocate another 7 goals away from someone. Kyle Brodziak, for example. Zach Kassian scored 15 or 16 last year. I can't remember. I checked the stats last night, but out the other. So allocate 3 goals there. You kind of see where the math's coming from. Thomas Jurko, if he makes the NHL team, you understand, look at that. Well, is he, isn't he? That's the question. And Adam Larsson, 3 goals, that's not much. You could easily double that. Defenseman, yeah, it's a crapshoot, especially a guy like Adam Larsson. So that's where we get my numbers. Now, the other question is, that's only 17 forwards and defensemen. Guess what? On an NHL team, unless you're carrying 3 goalies, you need to carry 21 forwards and defensemen to have a full roster, and that means 4 other guys are necessary, which, honestly, if you can assume at any point this year they play enough games, they should be able to score 5 goals, which, if you add up all those goals I've totaled, that adds 240. You add on 5 from 4 different guys, that's 260. And right there, ladies and gentlemen, you have your math as to how, based on last year's standings, the Edmonton Oilers are a top 10 goal-scoring club in the NHL. Fair enough? Problem is, does that stack up this year? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Maybe. Somehow. Maybe. Well, couldn't tell you. The question is, as I can hear it, fine and dandy. You can outscore the team 8-6, but that's not sustainable. You can score 12 goals a game, but if you're giving up 13, you're going to lose. I understand that argument. Here's the only counter arguments I have against that. You know what? The offense looks good. You can allocate the goals however you want. It seems to make sense that without the craptastic year we had last year, we should be able to score 260 goals. That's what this roster is capable of. And that does not mean we are worse than last year. That means, in fact, we are better offensively than we were last year, and that's a big improvement. Now, the question is the defense and the goaltending. What I'm going to tell you is, yes, we're going to have a rookie blue liner back there. You know what? Fair enough. That's the way. You got to turn it over at some point. And the big thing is, this year we know we're going to have a rookie blue liner back there. It's not stopgap measure. Our rookies aren't ready. We got to find somebody to fill the hole. Oh my God, Sekera's going to be injured longer. We got to fill those holes, and now we have injuries. No, we know what we're getting into this year. We know what the situation looks like, and that's the beauty of it. We actually have some control over how we build this roster this year, unless an injury happens between now and next month. But right now, as it sits, we have the control as the Oilers to get it done. So that's the big bonus right there. Now, the best thing I can say about the goaltending is the simple fact, I don't care how you regard Koskinen, I don't care how you regard Mike Smith, we don't have first shot, first goal Cam Talbot. When you play ahead in games with an offense that can score goals like ours can, you're going to win more games than not. That's simple hockey. The question is, how do you get ahead? Well, you get ahead by scoring goal 1, not goals 2 and 3. You know what I mean? If you give up goal 1 and then have to go out there and score goals 2 and 3, you're going to be playing from behind even though you've got the lead. That's the problem. Because whoever strikes first blood really, I believe, stands a good chance to win a hockey game. So, that's key. You know what? If you don't have a goalie letting in the first shot of every hockey game, you're going to stand a chance a lot more often than you think. That's the key. Hopefully. I mean, Mike Smith could do the same thing, and we're no better off than we were before. But right now, as it stands, the goaltending, just because of that simple fact, is better. And because we have control of the roster, we are better off than we were before on defense. Kinda, sorta, maybe. We'll find out. Guys, I'm Tyson, this is Stolany TV. That's my goal projections for the NHL's Edmonton Oilers this year. Let me know in the comments section down below what you believe I'm going to hit and get out of here. I am up on, gone.